Welcome to this, the first ever joint Zcast Analyst Angle done between ZK Research and theCUBE Research from SiliconANGLE. I'm Zeus Caravel. I'm here with Christophe Bertrand, your principal analyst with CUBE Research. Christophe, this is the first time you've been on with me, and actually the first time I've been on with you. So just a quick intro on yourself.
Yes, my name is Christophe Bertrand. I'm a principal analyst at theCUBE Research, and my focus is cyber resiliency, data management, and a bunch of other data-related areas.
Yeah, and I'm Zeus Caraval for the CUBE audience. I've been on many CUBE videos with Dave Vellante, Bob Liberté, folks like that, but first time with you, so I'm excited about that. Now, as you can see here, we're at the VeeamON conference in San Diego. Veeam is, of course, the industry leader in data resiliency, also known as backup and recovery and some other things. We just finished the day 2 keynote. Any initial thoughts from the conference?
Well, first of all, I think there were lots of really great initiatives that they've embarked on. I really was very interested in the AI conversations we had. They presented their strategy for AI. Niraj was really great about it. It's their CTO. Also, and finally, after waiting for many years, there's going to be a software appliance. It's going to run on Linux, so that's a cool one. And then truly what was interesting today, this morning, was the demos of all of that great technology they talked about.
Yeah, AI is one of the things that they've been missing for a while. They've talked about it, and this is the first year they've brought it to bear. When you think about AI and Veeam, there's two sides to that coin. There's Veeam for AI and how they protect AI workloads.
Right.
And I thought they've done a pretty good job of explaining that over the years. In fact, in their little AI roadmap, they showed that. And what I thought had been missing was the AI for Veeam, in which you can use AI to help them help you understand what the data means. Now, it's an interesting question. Should a data resiliency company actually be the one that helps you understand where your security risks are, where your exposures are? Some might argue that's more the role of a cyber company, but I mean, they have all the data. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there are a couple of topics. One of them is cyber resiliency and what it really is. And the truth is, it's really been at this point, it's really the confluence of traditional data protection, backup recovery, and cyber recovery. So that's the way I look at it. The other aspect is the data management component. You cannot really get to cyber resiliency and maybe even compliance and governance in general terms without understanding your data, what it is, where it lives, what characteristics it has, and of course that influences security posture management, but well beyond that, a bunch of other dimensions. So to answer your question, I think it's a natural evolution. Today, what's on the truck, what is selling and what is key is cyber resiliency, but we are seeing now the evolution of the need towards leveraging data protection in the context of providing this source for AI, and of course leveraging AI to better protect, better understand your environment, and also provide better security overall. So in a sense, you have this perfect storm of three markets kind of colliding with each other.
Yeah, in fact, Anand Warren, the CEO of Veeam, talked about that actually at the NYSE Cybersecurity Summit that you guys had. I watched that video and I thought he brought that up. I thought also, back on the AI side, it's interesting. They've been working on it for a while, but one of the reports I saw from Cisco actually showed a stat where every model out there is inherently insecure. In fact, the best model I think was only about 25% insecure. And so, in a lot of ways, I don't think it's up to the model providers to be the ones to secure AI, right? They provide the models, so somebody else has to do that. And I think if you put the right security foundation in place, companies can actually have this freedom of model to bring in what you want. And I think that there's a really interesting play there for Veeam. And Anand showed how they've kind of broken away from the legacy pack of Dell, IBM, and Veritas. And I think AI can actually act as a catalyst and see them continue to accelerate that movement away from the legacy vendors.
Right, so I think you're right. AI is a tool, so leveraging ML and AI in your offerings to provide more capabilities. To me, it's essentially the features battle in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that battle will be the organization, the company that better uses ML and AI in the delivery of their solution, well beyond traditional data protection. You bring up an interesting point, which is, are the models secure? Are you maybe potentially exposed to some risk of prompt injections, things like that. Well, I think take a step back. Let's protect the AI infrastructure, all of it, and then let's go protect the models, and then let's go validate that no data has been modified through some sort of exposure. So you've got so many layers just in this question that I think there's plenty of market there, plenty of opportunity.
And actually in the demo this morning, AWS actually showed how you can fingerprint all your data in AWS in S3 and then be able to compare that your data ongoing to be able to see if there's any indicated breaches. Now, you brought up the data maturity, and one of the things they released here was the data resiliency maturity model, the RMM. You can look at that as kind of a sales tool, but I think one of the things that it really highlighted for me is the big gap between where companies think they are and where they need to be. In fact, first of all, whenever I've seen a maturity model, Christophe, companies always overestimate their abilities. And I've never seen a gap this big, though, where I think it was 70% of the companies felt they were in a good position with data resiliency, but only 8% once they went through the exercise actually were. And that's a pretty big gap. And I mean, the implications of that are huge.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, I like the model because they've based it on research and a lot of data. So, definitely a lot of thought went through it, and they hired a lot of very smart people to build it. Yes, I do believe this will be great for solution selling and engaging in a very constructive way from a sales standpoint. I'd like to see how the channel will play out in that. So, it's a great opportunity. But more importantly, you're right. It's educating the market and the end users on where they are versus where they think they are. And then, more importantly, how do you take the next steps pragmatically to get to the solution? We've also just conducted research.
Well, that's the key, right?
Right. We've just conducted research that confirms, and it will be out soon, that confirms that, indeed, people rate themselves in a certain way, but in reality, you ask a couple more probing questions and you realize, well, maybe you've overestimated your strength. It's a problem, but it's also an opportunity. So I think it's a great tool. I think it will probably be a great way to engage with clients. Maybe it will be a little bit like group therapy at times.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's actually what's needed. I think that's really what's needed.
Yeah, no, it is needed. And I think, maybe the community needs to come together and help that. The last piece I thought was they announced the partnership with CrowdStrike, which is just it's incremental to the security play, I suppose. And it's interesting that this industry of backup recovery for a long time wasn't very exciting, right? It really was a solution looking for a problem, but its tie into security has been interesting on the recovery side. And the fact now that they have partnerships with all the big security vendors, Palo, CrowdStrike, and the like, actually shows how important it is.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
So they participate in the growth of security without actually being a cyber vendor.
Well, so which is interesting. As I said, I think there's a confluence or conflation of markets here. I think the markets are changing. The boundaries are very, very porous. Let's face it. And what you're seeing is, I think they mentioned 64, 65, over 60 partnerships in cyber. And I think it's just the beginning, scratching the surface. And of course, you have to do that because when you talk to an end user, they have a stack of technology and there will be many permutations. So you have to have those partnerships and those integrations. So to me, the one thing maybe that I wish I had seen a little more of would be more on the API strategy, because at the end of the day, you have to have a great API approach to work with all of these partners and for them to work with you. And I think maybe we could have heard more about this, but I know it's great because they're doing this. It's just food for thought.
Yeah, no, that's a good point actually. But I do know that it's working because they've got a long list of and in fact, I do know they'll be at the RSA show next week.
Next week, right?
As will you.
I will be.
Yeah. So overall impressions positive.
Oh no, this is absolutely great. I think lots of great things. Again, the clear explanation of the AI strategy, the demonstration of early stages, type of features you can get with it, and it did work, which was really great.
Yeah.
The work on the appliance, and it just generally all of the feature sets that are being added every time. I think this company, and we've seen the growth, clearly the market share growth, the ARR growth. Veeam is definitely going to keep on growing. I think the next step is leveraging the model that they have to engage further into the enterprise space, to further help their clients, their existing clients, and to really expand the footprint into new use cases, which I think both AI and the partnerships with cyber companies will really help do.
Yeah, and I I thought from the product perspective, maybe the most significant one was the appliance.
Other appliance for sure. Yes.
Yeah, because they get. I know that's one of the things Gartner always dings them on is being too Windows centric or whatever. But the appliance gives them a Windows platform, and I think the work they did to build it as a pre-packaged software appliance. I do think they'll have some customers asking for the hardware as well, but maybe about 10%. But I think for the most part, the ability to run on any hardware platform just makes it really easy to install. I mean,
right? Yeah, they've placed security and ease of deployment at the heart of the design. So that's why I saw of pre. But yes, you're right. That's exactly what they needed. Even the OS is actually the minimal, the minimus rule, right?
Yeah.
The minimal OS you need. Lots of distributions, etc., are possible. And for the hardware piece, by the way, I think the truth is that's a great opportunity for the channel.
Yeah.
A great opportunity for distribution. I suspect we will see a very, very nice adoption curve on this appliance.
Yeah, well, they're fast tracking the IPO. Right. If the markets would ever clean themselves up, I guess we'd see that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. But all right, anything else you want to add?
No, I think great VeeamON. Looking forward to the next one, and of course RSA next week. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more opportunities to continue this discussion.
Yeah, so we'll see you in San Francisco next week. So on behalf of Christophe Bertrand, I'm Zeus Caravala, saying thanks for joining this joint Analyst Angle Zcast. So on behalf of theCUBE Research and ZK Research, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Zcast.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks.